I've been messing around. I've been messing around. I've been messing around. Yeah, I've been messing around.
Welcome back to America Trends on You to America. Glad you're with us today. Hey, do you ever want to be a TV star? Land a spot on one of those game shows so you can get rich quick? Lou Dennig, a Hollywood studio executive, joins us now here in studio. Hey, thanks for coming in. We
Amy,
appreciate
it's great
you
to
so
be here.
much.
Thank you.
I'm excited. But you have a huge background. You are a TV executive. You have a new podcast coming up.
I do. It's called Games, Gab, and Gossip. TV before social media sucked the life out of broadcasting.
Hey, how did social media suck the life out of broadcasting?
I'll tell you how social media sucked the life. Back in the day when there was Donahue and Oprah and talk shows.
The good old days.
Not necessarily the good old days, but in those days, the national conversation started on television.
Mm-hmm.
And now the national conversation starts here. Starts on social media.
So we've advanced a little bit.
We've changed.
Now we're the good old days, maybe.
Maybe.
So,
I think so.
You've done a lot of court TV shows that are so interesting. Judge Judy, Judge Joe.
I helped start Judge Judy. I produced over 3,000 episodes of Judge Joe Brown. Did some seasons of Divorce Court. Did a show with Nancy Grace called Swift Justice. A lot of court shows.
How'd you land in that?
By accident. I was working at Paramount. My studio executive got fired, and his exit deal was to go run Judge Joe Brown, and he brought me along.
There you are on the set.
Yep.
You look like the big guy on campus. You're a good guy to know, especially if I want to get. Oh, look, got your buddy there.
Judge Joe Brown. He's doing great. I just said he was in Memphis. I just saw him about 6 months ago. He's doing great.
So, because of this vast background you have, you know exactly what to do if someone wants to get on TV and say, be on a game show,
exactly,
a singing show, maybe a dancing show. Oh gosh. Okay, so let's start out with the game show.
Okay, so you want to be on a game show.
I want to be on a game show.
The first thing you have to do is pull together all of the stuff that you need to get yourself on the game show. That means there's pictures of you and pictures of you that look like all the other contestants on that show. So if you want to be on Jeopardy, you would dress like that. If you want to be
like this is a good Jeopardy look.
Yeah, it's a good Jeopardy look. It's a good, a formal, good look. If you want to be on Millionaire, you have to show some more personality. If you want to be on The Wall, you have to bring a friend because they only do teams. So and then you have to bring a story, because that's what they're looking for. There are a lot of people who have good personalities, but you need to bring a story so that why you? Why do you need the money? How is the world going to change if you win $1 billion on some game show? And that backstory really helps.
Right, because there's always a story. We know say we watch American Idol, it's the backstory, how they did this, how they did that.
Exactly.
So if you're going to go into one of these, think about, as a producer, what you would promote on, say, social media, as you talk about you. So come ready with that game on.
Exactly, and then and write it down into two or three sentences. And once you have all of your stuff together, go on the website for the show that you want to be on and submit. They all take submissions. You can also go on Craigslist, because all these shows troll Craigslist looking for contestants or people to be on the show. And as soon as you have your cell pulled together, you can probably get on.
I found that fascinating when I was looking at the research for you, that you say, and then put it on Craigslist. With each and every one of these game shows or whatever show, put yourself on Craigslist.
Producers of these shows look on Craigslist all the time.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool.
I bet you the only people who know that are the people who are like constantly trying to get on these game shows, professional.
Or the people who produce these shows and are constantly on Craigslist looking for contestants.
So go to Craigslist. Okay, so a singing show. What if I want to be on a singing show?
Well, the first thing you need to know is, can you sing?
You got to sing.
Can you sing? Can you sing?
I'm not going to say I want to sing on a show, but I've carried a tune somewhere sometime.
Amy, everybody can sing. Everybody can sing.
Ahead.
So if you can sing, great. Oh, me, I can't carry a tune in a bucket. But if you think you can sing, that's not enough. You have to bring a backstory, just as you said. I mean, you got to bring what is in your background that makes you special or different or exotic or interesting. And why would the folks at home care about you, and why would they care about you winning the competition? So you have to bring that story. And then you have to pull together an audition tape that shows what you look like, that your look is unique, that you can actually sing, and that demonstrates your backstory.
Only your best everything on that audition tape.
Only your best everything, and it better be about 90 seconds long, because nobody has any attention span to watch tapes longer than that. No. If in the first minute or minute and a half, you don't leap off the screen, they're not going to pick you.
They're not going to go. Now, what about, say, a makeover show?
Makeover shows are really interesting because if you've just bought a house and it needs a makeover, take 1,000,000 pictures. Show how crappy it is, show all the cracks, all the whatever. They need to see the neighborhood too, but mostly what they need to see is what your project is like. And a lot of the shows, particularly the house hunters-like shows, they're always looking for homes that need makeovers. And once you've moved in, you're not disqualified because they can also find your place and then look at some of the other properties that you've examined before you bought this one, so that they don't really lie, but you can get yourself on the show if your makeover looks like it's going to be a big transformation in a short period of time for not a whole ton of money.
So take a lot of pictures and maybe even video?
Take a lot of pictures, take a lot of video, and again, tell your story. Why is it interesting to see you two?
Do people actually do some destruction on their home to try to get a better look at it?
I have not ever seen that, but it's not a terrible idea.
You know, I've wondered about hoarders. You cracking up the control room again, Lou?
That's awesome. Just trying to keep the conversation lively.
You're good there. I always wonder on the show Hoarders.
Yeah?
Could they have cleaned up a little bit? Maybe they brought in more stuff.
Have you met hoarders?
I'm not going to name names.
Oh, okay. I hope my mother's not watching. But no, hoarders think that they live in a very normal, everyday kind of way.
Man.
Yeah. No, you don't. Hoarders. Those shows are really interesting because you don't have to add much and you don't have to subtract.
Oh, boy.
I know.
Okay, so let's talk about your genre, the
court shows.
Show. Yeah.
Court shows. Okay, well, to get on a court show, you have to file a case in a local jurisdiction. You go to small claims court and you file a case. But then in the segment that the court asks you to describe your dispute, make sure that you include something that talks about your relationship with the defendant. Because we're all looking for relationships. It's not that interesting if you and I don't know each other and we're suing each other. But if you and I, used to have a thing and now we don't anymore, and now you're mad at me,
drama.
It's a lot more interesting.
So long story short, there's got to be a lot of drama.
There's got to be a lot of drama. There's got to be a lot of story, and sell it up front.
I want to hear about some of the things that have gone into. I mean, you've probably seen a lot working on court TV. The good, the bad, the ugly.
People sometimes need a little training in just how to behave with each other.
I bet it's easier as the years go on. It seems like there might be just a little less decorum in society these days, and that can all go on in front of the cameras.
There might be, but there's always, there are always women who give too much money to a boyfriend to try to turn him into a real relationship. And you know what? If the man is costing you too much money, he's not worth it.
I'll bet it takes a while to finally figure out, hey.
Sometimes you'll learn that in the first time, and sometimes you'll learn that in the 10th time.
And the longer it takes, the more you're going to need Judge Judy.
The more you're going to need some kind of judge to help sort it out.
I want to talk more about that and what to do if I want to get on a competition show. Okay. But first, we're going to hold you over for one more segment, okay?
Okay.
Great. And then tell us again your podcast that's coming up.
My podcast is called Games, Gab, and Gossip. TV before social media sucked the life out of broadcasting. I know you don't like that. But you can look under Games, Gab, and Gossip wherever you find your podcasts.
Lou Dennig, Hollywood studio executive, big game show guy, court TV show guy. We're going to have him back right after this here on America Trends.
Yeah, I've been messing around. I've been messing around. I've been messing around. I've been messing around. Yeah, I've been messing around. Watch me bleed until I can't breathe. Shake your body onto my knees. And now that I'm without your
Welcome back to America Trends. Today we're teaching you how to be a star, or at least a game show star, a competition show star, with our friend Lou Dennig, a Hollywood TV executive who has had a lot of background in court TV and other things. Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So you had tips on what to do if you want to be on a court show, a makeover show, a game show, and now we want to figure out a competition show.
Well, there are many different kinds of competition shows. So the first thing you have to decide is, are you a superhero? And if you are a superhero, how can you show that off? Make a tape that shows how fit you are, or how fast you can run, or how big you can climb, or how much of an American ninja you are, and what is your backstory and why are you there? And then bring your expertise and apply to the show. And again, post your stuff on Craigslist, and look on Craigslist to find producers who are looking for people to be on competition shows. And competitions, I mean, they're not just physical competitions. There are makeover shows. You know, how much weight do you need to lose? Can you dance? Can you sing? Can you whatever? And
there are so many, more all the time. I saw one last year that was fascinating. You had a team of two, and you had to go on the run, and all the people from the show was people from the NSA, the CIA, all these people with backstories, track them to see how fast they could get them. And they didn't know when they were going to be on the run. They'd come and get tapped in their regular lives and say, "You're on the run."
That's awesome. That's a great story. That's a great show. So if you're a fugitive, you could probably be a good contestant for that show.
There were some ex-cons in there, now that you mention it. But I also want to mention again, I'm fascinated by the fact that you can just go on Craigslist and say, "I'm here."
You can go on Craigslist and say, "I'm here, pick me." Go on Craigslist and look for people who are looking for people like you.
Now, what if I'm an expert? I know that on this show we have people who are nannies, who are experts in childcare. We just talked to Stephen J.J. Wiseman. He's an expert in scams.
Right.
And there is a place for people if you have a book or you think you're an expert in something.
If you are an expert in something, prove it. Do you have a book? Do you have a resume? Do you have a tape? Do you have a blog? Do you have a website? Can you prove that you're an expert?
Yeah.
And then apply to shows like yours, or get a management company like TVGuestpert to publicize you.
There are management companies who you contact them and you say...
You contact them and you deal with them, and the one I deal with is called TVGuestpert. Guestpert. And
it's a great name.
It's a great name.
Instead
it's a great
of expert,
name.
Guestpert.
Exactly.
And then you say, "I think I'm pretty good at talking about this. What do you think?" And they say, "Well, let me look at your material."
Right.
And then they just start booking you.
And then
How
they
fast?
start booking you pretty quickly, in a month or two.
Everywhere.
It's pretty awesome.
And you get to come in here.
This is my best part of my day.
Gosh, we're so glad to have you, because this is all so interesting.
Thanks so much.
And we have another little topic we wanted to talk about.
Yes.
When it comes to Hollywood, and it's the so-called inclusion writer.
Yes.
Now, this famously got mentioned last month or earlier this month in the Oscars.
In the Oscars.
Frances McDormand, in her acceptance speech for Best Actress, said, "Listen, you guys should all, women, I want you to make sure, you stars, when you go on the set, when you accept a contract, call for an inclusion writer."
Right.
Do you want to explain what that is?
A lot of people didn't know what that is. A lot of people in Hollywood didn't know what it is either. But
They
what
do
it really
now,
is,
don't they?
What it really is a paragraph that says that there's going to be diversity in the stage crew, there's going to be diversity in the office, there's going to be diversity in the cast in the show. And that's really just writing that's in a contract for a celebrity. But what that does is it really puts the producer on notice that they need to make sure that there's diversity in the office, on the stage, and in the cast. And there's no real teeth to it, but the teeth to it is, I think, even more important than something that you could contractually enforce.
An expectation.
It's an expectation, and it's also a fear. If you're a big fat celebrity and I'm the producer, and you come to me and you say, "How come there are only white men on the stage?" And I have to explain that I've scoured the world and the only people who can produce your show are white men, you know that I'm not telling you the truth. And that's an uncomfortable conversation that I don't want to have with you. So I don't have it with you, and I find diverse people who can do the jobs.
Before it comes up. And nothing against white men. For instance, I think you're wonderful.
Thank you very much.
But Frances McDormand, for instance, they want to see more women. They want to see more...
And I completely agree with that, because I think that when you only have a homogenous group of people in the room that are in the writer's room or in the producer's room, you get one kind of story.
You're not getting all the stories.
No, and we get much better stories if we have people of all kinds of backgrounds putting their input into that story. When I produce a show, I make sure that there's somebody on our staff who can talk to and relate to anybody in America. So that if you're talking to somebody on the phone that we want to get on the show and you're not clicking with them, then John or Joe or somebody else can have that conversation and get that guest on our show.
I bet that can save a lot of headaches.
It saves a lot of headaches, and it makes the show better. It makes the show broader and more interesting.
Well, we could see more of a change then with that expectation. This could change the movie business a little bit. I know William Morris has adopted it, you said?
Yeah, William Morris, ICM, has adopted 50-50 by 2020.
Big agencies.
Is big agencies, 50% men, 50% women in all, from the executive suite down through the mailroom by the year 2020. which is 10 minutes from now. So I think it's a pretty good goal, and I'm happy to say that my friends at ICM are likely to make that goal because they were at like 45, 55 before they announced. So that's all good.
Oh, they were. Now we know about it because Frances McDormand talked about it. But
Right.
Have you heard? You've been in the industry in the backhauls. Have you heard this expression before?
I've not heard the expression before, but I've heard the issue before, and the issue is people always have excuses as to why there are so few women directors or why there are so few African American writers, and the answer is we haven't fostered and trained people to take those jobs, to be ready for those jobs. And I think now we're going to actively do that, and that's going to be better. It's going to be better for the people watching television because you're going to get more stories that are more like you.
We live in great times. Not only that, but if you want to, I mean, we've seen so many people from other countries. I think of the Big Sick, the guy who did that. I mean, you could go on YouTube, shoot your own stuff, present it, and we just live in amazing times.
Well, we live in an amazing technology. I mean, you can make a movie with your iPhone, and you can cut it with your iPhone. And I think someone was telling me that there's some software where I can get 4 or 5 iPads and I can cut them like a live show.
Oh God,
today.
I can't keep up. I can't keep up. So your podcast is coming up. Tell us about the first episode, please.
The first episode is with my friend Rolanda Watts, who had a talk show back in the day. She's a novelist and a comedian, and she talks about her play aunt, Dr. Maya Angelou. And it's a pretty fascinating story. She grew up down the street from Dr. Maya Angelou, and it's fascinating. So it's really, the podcast is all about the people who made the shows that you loved back in the day. Aww. The people who made, I talked to Larry Little, the man who created Judge Judy. It's a really fun podcast.
So a background and your behind the scenes look at TV. I'm so excited to see it.
Should be fun. Thanks so much.
Lou Dennig, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Hollywood, now we know how to get on a game show, and we hope to see you back soon. We appreciate it.
I can't wait to come back.
Thank you so much. We're back with more after this on America Trends on U2 America.